I'm using fluorescent yellow mixed with a little bit of light blue. Using fluorescent green is so important, or fluorescent yellow and mix it with blue, specifically for this project. Covering the canvas in green is going to give us a really great start, so we don't have to fight against the white. What does it mean to fight against the white? That's a good question. It just means you're struggling to paint over all of the white spots rather than just going with the flow of the painting. So just taking away all of the white at the very beginning is a great way to start out your painting. Perfect. So, when was the last time you watched The Grinch? Alright. My next step is I'm going to actually going to mix a darker shade of green with my fluorescent yellow and my light blue, and I have some dark blue I'm going to use as well. Perfect. Let's just check. I'm going to go ahead and do a sound check. Okay. Everything looks and sounds good. I'm the only one monitoring my video, so I have to just stop and make sure everything was working properly. Okay, so the light is going to be coming in on the left side. I always get my left and right confused. So it's going to be coming in on the left side, so the right side is going to be darker. The first thing we're going to do is draw in an M shape for the eyebrows towards the top of the canvas, just like so. That's going to be where his eyebrows are. Now I'm going to do this upward painting motion. Just like so. Perfect. I will let you know I'm in an art studio space, so if you hear some noise coming from the wood shop below me, I apologize in advance, but there's just creative works happening all around me here. So, yeah, hopefully you understand. Artists need to stick together. Then we're going to do a little shadow in between the eyes. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and indicate where the eye is by drawing a U shape underneath the eyebrows. And shading it as well. I'm going to take a little bit of more blue and mix it in with my turquoise green, and that's going to be a little bit of a darker shade of green. And I'm painting around the eye a darker shade of green, keeping my brush strokes loose and expressive. Loose, loose, loose. Alright, now painting down the side of his face a large shadow that extends from the eye. It's already starting to look like him. It's already starting to look like him. Wouldn't you say? Our goal is to plot out all of the shapes before we get carried away with the details. In between the eyes, there's a nose. Okay, it's kind of an oval color or oval shade. The highlight of the nose is going to be on the left. So I'm going to take some yellow and just indicate that really quick. It didn't really work. That's okay. We'll just make the right side a little bit darker for now. His eyes are a little bit more close together with some shadows. So I'm adding almost like a raccoon eyes with eye bags. Okay, so there's the nose. I'll show you all of my little tricks to making a painting come to life. Alright, actually I feel like the nose needs to be even higher and smaller. So scratch that. What should I do? I'll be right back. I'm gonna get a paper towel and just like wipe it away. Wipe it away. Wipe it away. Okay. Just gonna wipe away some of that excess paint. Perfect. Don't be afraid to adjust your painting as you go. I'm actually going to use a smaller brush for the nose. Alright, so I'm going to put the nose closer up to the eyes so it looks more squished. The light spot on the left. We're going to push the shadows as we go. Actually, let me see. I have more white paint I need to use. I think there's hair on my face because, gosh, it's so frustrating when you have makeup. Sometimes the hair just sticks to the makeup. So, Caffrey paint is heavy body. Is a heavy body. Ugh. There it is. I felt the hair. Okay, Caffrey paint is a heavy body paint that's acrylic. It dries quickly. It's great for beginners, but it gives you that thick luscious look similar to oil paint. So I highly recommend that you use it if you want to get a similar look as my paintings, and I build up the paint as I go. So keep that in mind. You just cut the tip and squeeze it out. So I'm going to mix my fluorescent yellow with white, and I'm going to paint around the nose a big, almost like a big circle around the nose, but it's not a perfect circle. But this is where the nose comes out. And look, we're going to start making it look hairy by layering the paint. This is a lighter shade of yellowish green, and we will work on combining the different shades as we go. This is the fluorescent yellow I'm using. Artist Loft from your local art store, and it's actually way more affordable. It's way more affordable than a lot of paints out there. I tend to mix different qualities of paint depending on what's available and what my budget is, really. Alright, let's add some eye bags by doing some broad, sweeping, thick brush strokes under the eyes. We're building up the layers. And mixing that with the turquoise in a few places. Especially near the eye, or near the center of the eyes where he's frowning. Add a little bit of light yellow or fluorescent yellow green in here as a little highlight. Now, if you didn't know, green is made up what am I trying to say? You mix green by mixing yellow and blue and other shades in there as well. So the majority of this painting is actually going to be combinations of yellow and blue and a little bit of white, and a few different shades of blue as well. Going back in, I might want this to dry a little bit before I add more highlights. Alright, so we start to see his face come to life a little bit. Now he's frowning, so we're going to do a very dramatic upside down. Basically a horseshoe shape or a rainbow. That's going to be where his mouth is. Kind of in here where the shadow is, we're going to blend it into the mouth and try to keep that nice round shape. Round shape. Alright, so he's frowning, so we're going to make a little frown right here. I'm trying to think, should it be higher? Yep. His frown should be right in there. It's okay if you need to move your painting around a little as you go. In fact, that's how you make paintings. You adjust as you go. Alright, underneath the lip, we're gonna shade it with it's actually, I want it to be a little bit of a different color. Like, I don't know. In here, we'll work on it. We'll work on it. But that's under his mouth. I feel like I need another shade of turquoise, a darker shade. So I'm mixing a little bit of red in with my turquoise to make it feel darker. And I'm actually going to do that in a few places. I don't know how I feel about that red. We are going to be adding a little bit of red throughout, but we have to do it tastefully. Trying to make sure in here feels light and rounded. Okay, something similar to that. And remember, you can always paint over your painting. It's a process. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right. Kind of adjusting the mouth a little bit as I go. All right, I need to mix more paint. How are you? You doing okay? Okay, good. So I'm going to take my blue, mix it with my yellow, and I'm making a dark turquoisey green. Perfect. Actually, I'm going to let that set in the water. So, just going to go ahead and commit to blocking in some of these other green shadows before I get too carried away. Let's put his eyes in, which are basically cross-eyed, so you see how they're closer to the tear duct rather than centered. And I just did a little half circle, a little push of my paintbrush. We'll use a smaller brush later when we add the details, but right now we're just trying to get the overall gist before we get too bogged down with details. Alright, you see how I'm creating a little bit of definition around the eyes? I'm just adjusting it as I go. Don't forget to mix white in with your fluorescent yellow. It's going to help you out a lot. Alright. Now I'm going to add the top of his forehead in here with a really light green, mostly fluorescent yellow, white, and a little bit of blue. Let's fill that. Let's make this thicker, more prominent. This is called scumbling. It's when you add a lighter color over a darker color and you allow it to just kind of scumble on top of the darker color, allowing the darker color to show through a little bit. You see how I'm really layering it up though? It's almost like I'm using white, but there's a little bit of yellow and green in the pigment. We're trying to get as much range from the green as possible. As you can see, I'm filling in the side of his face. I didn't mean to do all of that, but that's okay. I can paint over it. I might have to let it dry before I am able to fix it fully. I'm going to go ahead and mix I need to put more paint on my paint palette, so let's go ahead and take some time to do that. I wanted to say that painting without the colors that you need available is like trying to build a house without the tools you need. So you might have a house, but it won't have a solid foundation. So and again, don't worry if your painting looks different than mine. That's perfectly normal, and that's part of what being creative is creating your own look in your art. And where did I think I'm going to be using so much of this fluorescent yellow. I might be out by the end of this painting. We'll see. Okay. All right. Let's start breaking it down into more solid of shapes. All right, this is going to be one big shape. Do you see how I'm now painting side to side and kind of rounding it? That's how we're going to make it look like his face has form. Okay. You see also how I'm not spreading my paint too thin. I'm building it up like clay, allowing it to feel thick, and I'm also focusing less on the features and more on the hair right now, almost like just focusing on the space around the features, which is counterintuitive for most painters. See how that feels really solid? That's exactly what we want. Again, it's kind of hard to get that look without using the types of paints that I recommended. So don't forget to use the paints I recommended, or something similar. I'm making the eyebrows feel a little bit more wispy in a few places. And layering up the paint until it feels right. We're going to add a little shadow here behind where his nose protrudes and his cheeks begin. Here on the left side, that's going to give his face quite a bit of structure. Okay, something I want to do is, this is a little trick. I'm going to take my blue and I'm going to mix it with red and pink and a little bit of yellow. Oh, that's too much. It's too red. I want it to be more blue than red. Alright. I take blue, mix it with red, bit of the green, and it's going to be an even darker shade of green. And the red makes it feel even darker. This way we can shade the eyes. I'm going to go back to a smaller brush, not super small, but... How are you hanging in there? What's your favorite Christmas movie? Whenever I was a kid, I was obsessed with the Grinch. I loved the song, Where Are You Christmas? And now Cindy Lou Who is in a hard punk rock band, and I'm so here for it. Oh, I think I need to turn down the air conditioner. Hang on. Oh, what's that? Oh, wait, it's the heater. It's the heater, not the air. Okay. All good. It'll take a second to turn off. No worries. Okay, so here we're just going to shade it a little bit more around in the eyes, the top of the eye, and where he's frowning, and it creates a little 11 line. And I don't like this brush. I need a different one. Where did all my brushes go? Alright, we'll just use this one. All good. Alright. So, we're also going to add his pupil, keeping it in the dark green blue family, as well as I'm actually going to mix that dark blue in with my lighter shade of dark green and kind of make a shadow over the eye. It's making me realize I need to bring the iris down just a little. And there we go. Now let's take the light green and highlight the bottom of the eye, just like so. Just so it feels like it's catching the light. Very good. And we're also going to make the whites of the eye, we're going to keep it green, but we're going to reinforce the green that we already have. Very good. Adding a waterline at the base of the eye and increasing some of the lines under the eyes so those eye bags are nice and prominent. If it feels a little too prominent, just take your light green and kind of work it in to the dark. Let's highlight right there with a little bit of white. Okay. So yes, right here needs to be super dark. So we're going to make that feel really thick, and we're going to bring it up like we did the other parts of the eyebrow, but not too much. We just want it to feel like it's connected. And bring that shadow down on the right side of the face. Blend it in with some of these hairs. Bring it around down. Bring it around down. What's that from? Let me know in the comments. Oh, are you learning something? Are you learning anything? Please let me know what you're learning. It'll make me feel like a good art teacher. Highlight this with some, well, actually let's shade under here with a thicker dose of green. That looks good. You see how I'm staying true to the form of the nose. And then again, kind of like blending it in a little. There we go. Making it a little bit stronger over here on this side while integrating the greens together. Let's work on the nose a little bit. Let's make it a more solid green to start. Add a little, it's almost like a mushroom tip right here. Then on the left side, we're going to take yellow, mix it with white, and highlight it. Perfect. Then on the right side, we're going to take the dark blue, and we're going up. We're just going to paint the right side of the nose and bring it in underneath, and let's add 2 dark blue nostrils on either side. Nostril 1 and nostril 2. And then there's a cast shadow as well, so we have to paint that in, which is just a shadow underneath the nose. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and reiterate the whites of the eyes by mixing white and yellow, fluorescent yellow together, and just make it feel a little bit more solid. A little bit more solid. Do you see how I'm building up in layers? I'm not rushing to anything being too permanent. Let's blend that in with a little bit of a darker shade of green on the top of the eyeball, because that's where the eyelid casts a shadow. And let's make sure that there's almost like a little ring of darker blue around the iris. If you go out of lines, just paint it over. This looks a little weird. I'm gonna make it feel a little bit smaller on that side. There we go. Way better. Okay, let's paint a lower lip that's sticking out. So in the shadow, I just am highlighting it right in here, just carving out a lower lip. He's pouting. Whenever I was little, My grandparents used to say that a bird would come over and poop on my lower lip if I kept sticking it out. Was that a common thing for grandparents to say? That looks good. Already there's a lot of charm in this painting. On the left side, let's add more green. This is a very green painting, and one of the reasons I wanted to paint the Grinch, other than the fact that the Grinch is one of my favorite characters, he will never cease to amaze me and to creep me out at the same time. But one reason is because I sold my last Grinch painting, so therefore I wanted to replenish it. Let's make some pretty hairs on this side by just pushing and sweeping it out, just like so. Gotta do that with the other shades of green as well. Push and sweep. Push and sweep. Just like that. Then it gives kind of that wispy effect. See how it's a little thick right there? I'm just gonna take my yellow and blend it in. Very good. Let's do it on the other side. We're going to go with the darker greenish blue. Push and sweep. Let's do it under here. It's a little bit dark, but I do want it to be dark, just not that dark, so I blended it in. Notice that it didn't look quite right in there, so I'm just gonna block out this negative space in between the 11 lines with a lighter shade of green. So much green. Very good. And in here, let's make that a little bit lighter with white. I was feeling a little bit flat. That looks better. I was seeing if there's another shade of yellow I could use, but it doesn't look like I have it. Make sure that's nice and thick and connected. We want the shapes to feel solid. Let's highlight some of these bags under his eyes with super light pasty yellow. Really good. Adding a little bit of green around his face so you're not really sure where it starts and stops. Let's make the darks feel thick. And make the light green hairs feel really intentional on this side. By layering them just like so. Taking my dark green and kind of making it feel a little bit ambiguous. Where does the hair stop and start? We definitely want to make this feel dark in here because that's where his nose and mouth kind of come in. See how I made that a bit too dark? So I'm taking my lighter greens and blending it in. adding a little bit more darkness in the crease of his mouth. I'm getting excited. I'm starting to really see him come to life. Other than The Grinch, one of my favorite Christmas movies is A Christmas Story. He'll shoot your eye out. Is that the line? I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments. What's that line? We're getting there. Let's just make around his face maybe a little bit more green. And make sure the hair... Oh, there's a hair on my brush right when I said that. We want the hair to feel wispy. Maybe that's a little too white. Green can be kind of a hard color. Okay. So let's make the top of his eyebrows longer and yeah, make it feel nice and thick up here like we talked about. And add, maybe not that bright, but just add some definition in the forehead, just so it feels like we addressed it. And shade under the eyebrow just a little with my turquoise. Building up the layers is key. Alright, in here, let's make that a little bit thicker. Once again, running out of paint. Mostly yellow. It's kind of like, I'm using a lot of yellow, but it's looking like it's green because I'm mixing it and I'm using a lot of blue in it, so the yellow translates as light green. Alright, so right here, let's just kind of, oh, that's too pasty looking. There we go. Just kind of add a little padding right there. And then blend it in with more darker shades. Already, yes. Already, I really like it. Let's connect the mouth a little bit more. See how I'm adding a little bit more blue. Oh yeah. I love it. I want that to be dark, but I want it to feel like it is integrated. So there we go. That looks better. Yes. I have towels, like rags all around me, so I can just wipe just like that. I recommend having a bunch of old towels and rags around you when you're painting, just all over the table, just everywhere, so you can just wipe your brush when you need to. Honestly, this looks really good. I'm just going to use this smaller brush and add that shadow in a little bit more right there. And let's just make the top of his nose feel a little bit more rounded in here. Wow, I love it. Maybe a few little highlights, not too much. Let's just simplify it in here just a little by smoothing it out, covering up some of the brush marks. There we go. Yes. And then in here, kind of blend that in by adding a few little adding some green behind his face, so it's unclear where his face truly starts and stops in a good way. You see how I'm just going with my brush? Just little hairy marks. And then taking the lightest green and blending it in to where it's a little bit more ambiguous again. That looks good. For some reason, I still feel like this needs to be, I don't know. Maybe it's because there needs, yeah, that's better. Let's make sure the paint is nice and thick throughout the entire thing. Adding a little bit of really light green here on either side of that eyeball, just making it feel really solid. There we go. Actually, you see how that kind of flattened it out? Let's make sure we keep that shadow there, because that's an important aspect of the painting. There we go. All right, honestly, I think this is a great stopping point. What do you think? Do you like it? I absolutely love it. Let me show you up close. This is it. I mean, when I look at it up close, hang on. Let me, I'm like, wait a second. It's easy to get really, really picky. This is kind of a monochrome painting. And I say kind of because there's yellow and blue in it. But it's basically a monochrome painting because it translates as all green, which is a fun thing to do, is like limit yourself to just a few colors. Hang on, let me see if I like that. Let me take a picture of it. That's how I'll know. Wait, I have to, there's a glare. I feel like that the eye kind of got flattened in that process. So hang on. I'm just gonna brighten it a little. It's kind of hard to paint with the lights that I have because they sometimes create glares. Okay, is that better? Not really. The final touches can be really annoying because it's like, are you done? Are you not done? What I will say is, I'm not technically done with this painting. I'm at a stopping point, a solid stopping point, and that allows me room to change my mind and work on it a little bit more later. All right, that looks good. Yeah. But I recommend when you work on a painting to bring it to as far as you can in that setting. And then if you can't bring it any further, that's how you know you're at a solid stopping point, and then you can think on it, and come back to it later when you're feeling inspired, or that you have a fresh perspective. So, yeah. Let me show you up close. This is it, and it matches my fit. I love it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you learned a thing or two about painting. Honestly, I learn a lot just by forcing myself to paint something in a time frame, and saying, okay, I'm gonna sit down and paint a Grinch in an hour and share it with you. That teaches me, because it's pushing me outside of my comfort zone, and it forces me to be aware of what I'm doing creatively. So thank you for this learning experience. I hope you found this to be a cozy ASMR video, and I hope you learned a thing or two about art making. And isn't this a fun Grinch painting? I think it is. I'm really happy with the way he turned out. If you would like to see something specific, or if you would like to see me paint something specific, please let me know in the comments, and I'll try to incorporate it in the future. Go watch The Grinch. Oh yeah, last question. Do you like the cartoon, the original of The Grinch, or the Jim Carrey one? Let me know. The way Hollywood has been, they'll probably come out with another one soon. Anyways, the Jim Carrey one is so good. It still freaks me out to this day, but I still like it. So, alright, love you.